Hello, everybody. Everybody, good day to you. I say good day, it's actually good evening. No intro. We're going straight to the point. It's quite late for most of you, so I will not in any way keep you longer than I should. I promised, and I still intend to keep that promise. An hour, and we're done. I pray that you had all set reminders like I had begged, because this is a serious matter and a one that needed a break in protocol. We normally have a pattern that we follow, those who have been consuming content from this platform for years now. You know, we have a way we do things, but none of all that. I call it weight at the moment, because this is an alarming situation that needs no dressing up. Really, it's as simple as that. And I'm quite chuffed, because I did get some good news, following this horrendous thing that happened to this young girl. So if you're just joining and it's the first time you've come to us on the Family Cyber Clinic YouTube platform, I welcome you. I really do. For those, again, that don't know me well or know the platform, I'm here for you. I'm doing all this homework, all this drilling, all this informing, because I love your young ones just as you do. Okay. And fortunately for you, I have a lot of information, a wealth of information that will help keep you as a family safe online. And that gives me so much joy. And so I'm pleased that you have been able to join. I did say in my head that it would be possible to take questions, and further down the line perhaps we'll be able to do that, to give you an opportunity to have your say. God willing, we'll be able to embrace that. But you see, I've always said, and quote me, from as far back as 2019, the rogue does not care. The rogue does not care. And this has almost weaponized me to make sure that I don't hold back information that I know would help you, avoid this reckless behavior that the rogue has, almost made it his or her lifelong duty to frustrate the young ones, and along that, obviously, frustrate the family. So when this platform launched in 2019, I have not stopped. I've warned parents about the dangers our children face online. In 2025, I think, I started a daily show, sharing tips, family cyber tips, tools, and stories to keep you, the parents, the caregiver, and the young ones safe. I transitioned to a weekly show to make sure that I'm giving you my maximum. But now the very thing that I fear and have feared for so long has happened. I know that God has not given me, or anyone for that matter in the faith, a spirit of fear. It's not from him, but he's given us wisdom. He's given us, like the Bible says, power, a sound mind, and love, but focusing on the very thing before us. That if we're not shading our kids, because the kids are vulnerable. almost feel that they're so innocent, they need our protection. And when we are off duty, the rogue wins. And so the very thing that I feared in that context has happened. Not to a parent, but to a child. And parents, this is the wake-up call you cannot afford to ignore. Imagine your 13-year-old child just scrolling, chatting, or trying to make sense of the digital world, suddenly being offered money by a stranger online. It upsets me even, thinking about it for more than a second. Really, really upsets me. A rogue offering your young one, your 13-year-old, money. Real money, not fake money. Not just promises of money to come. And for this particular scam, it begins with generosity, but it ends with a heartbreak. This is no longer about adults falling for scams. It's about our children becoming the new targets. Let me try and break down the story like I promised you. Let me see how many people are in attendance. Well, oh, wow. Okay, no. Yeah, okay. A few of you expected more, but hey, we'll do this. And we know that it's going online and it will be archived there, but enough to matter. Feel free to send a comment in the comments or chat so that I can see that you're here. You're not quietly listening to me and doing your chores. This is serious. Let me relay the story. A 13-year-old girl was contacted through social media. Contacted through social media. The scammer moved the chat quickly to SMS and then to Telegram. Telegram is a messaging tool just like WhatsApp, but it has a lot of protection and encryption, and rogues can hide under that safety net because encryption is designed for privacy. And this is where I sit on the fence about the merits and the demerits of, Telegram and others like it. But ultimately, the scammer, knowing Telegram is somewhat, not just somewhat. Thank you very much, Dre Plays. He says, we're listening. God bless you for your support. Fola, God bless you too. Yes, you're here. Thank you for the support I know you give me and the platform behind the scenes. The Lord will honor you. So we have a situation where this scammer is hiding behind the privacy or the encryption that Telegram provides. So lured the young one through the regular social media or messaging app like WhatsApp or Facebook Messenger. And then the moment they get the young one's attention, they move to Telegram. And they presented a too good to be true offer. They send a little and get a lot more back to gain her trust. And they deposited a few pounds, £9, £13 into her account being Halifax. I said I was going to show you some pictures which may give you some, audit trail. And I'll do that at some point while I talk over it, okay? So they gained her trust by depositing these few amounts of money into her account. And the young girl, as she was narrating, and the thing just broke my heart, And I'll touch on some sensitive things at some point because when you hear these crazy stories about how kids get funny, and I'm not making light of this in any way or form, when you hear these negative stories that end really badly, when a child from nowhere just decides to do the nasty, I can see easily how this can, put a child in that box. So they gained her trust. Young girl trusted these people after they had actually deposited money in her account that she could see. And that small win made her believe this was real. And of course, the twist comes. If you send us money, we'll multiply it and send it back. And I know that there are many children of age who that just sounds crazy good to them. Little effort. In this young girl's case, it was more aligned with reviewing goods, items. I know I mentioned that I was going to share a scam that happened to me at the end. And that's why I wasn't quite sure about the Q&A, but feel free to send in your questions as I go. But if we have time, I'll share a brief summary, and then maybe in another episode of the podcast that we do, I'll elaborate. If you send us money, we'll multiply it and send it back. And out of trust and excitement, this young girl sent her money. And it wasn't, just like they did it in drabs, little bit here, we'll do this. And they did, honored their word, did it again, honored their word. And all this, and you soon sense my beef, holy anger with these banks who open accounts for these young boys and girls that are 13 and above. Crazy. Absolutely crazy. But of course, this kid, having trusted, and she's so excited, she sends her money, knowing that they've sent money. So there's a loop, there's some sort of trust established. So she sends her money when they say, okay, you can see how you're getting this small money for this little effort. If you put some more effort, we'll give you more money. But there's some bit that you have to do to actually increase the stakes. And I shared a scam. You see, one of the hazards of what I do, trying to protect you online, is that these rogues are on my case too. So I have to be super alert and make sure that I am, staying focused on all that's happening. So I can't be careless with my details like I tell you not to be. And with all my due diligence, I know I can hear someone say, how can we trust you, Lawrence, if you've been scammed? That's how good these guys are. That's how good these guys are. And rather than put me off assisting, with the knowledge of that scam, I'm more armed. At times you got to get beaten to regroup and become stronger. And rather than, knock me out, it's recharged me. And I'm still here by the special grace of God. All right? So this girl gets scammed because she gives out money. And unfortunately for her, hers were larger amounts. She sends it. Then she spends a lot of time asking for the return, because it was supposed to be like, put this, let's use arbitrary amounts, £200. Let me just give you an idea. The amount is closer than 1,000 than it is £50. That's how much she was scammed. Closer to 1,000 than 50. A 13-year-old. So the scammer, the rogue, God give me names. takes her money, and when she's now asking for the return, the money that was promised, stories start happening. And you know how kids trust. She doesn't see the red flag. She's consumed with this too good to be true offer that she is not seeing the flags. Some will argue, where were the parents? We and if you came here to just hear me tell you, give you this story, you really don't know how this platform rolls. I want you to be as connected to this situation so that you are almost mandated to do something about it. And running through it like I'm speaking to, my dry cleaners. Please watch this, watch that, watch this, watch that. And no, there has to be a heart. And so forgive me if you are, Lawrence, when are you landing? I'm not landing. I'm just stirring up. I'm just starting the engine. To the little girl, having trusted, having sent her money, the returns never came. And these people, they'll do it in such a way that in fact, the scam that happened to me, the fact that it happened to me would mean that it can happen to anybody. That's truth, fact. But having been exposed to it a few months ago allowed me identify with what this little girl went through. Because the only way they didn't take more than close to £1,000 was because she ran out of money. If she had, let's just assume she had £10,000, and it's not impossible, this scam would have gone on. Because if you've messed up, already you've messed up when the first promissory discussion didn't yield any rewards. So that's supposed to be the time you stop and move, because now the money you were expecting is not come and they're giving you stories. But the child, to fix her issue, was putting more money so that she can get the money that didn't come. And she only drew the line or pulled the plug when there was no money. And to show you the emotional drain, the emotional destruction that this could have resulted in. It was so bad, a kid who usually is very compliant with tickets, travel on the tube or railway, totally compliant and aligned, making sure that she's paid her fare. Because all the money she had in her account gone, so she couldn't even get home. And so she decided to travel, get some money from the school with some story, then travel on the trains without paying and got a fine. And I'm still on the mom's case, trying to see how we can get that money back, because the story following on, the story that she's given, the TFL or whoever the railway vendors are, is that she was robbed or defrauded. And they're not taking that as the truth. And so they're sticking, they're saying that a fine must be paid. I'm going to do everything, everything that I can to make sure that that's not the case. Because this is a child who is now not thinking, a child who is panicking. She has mom to encounter. She has a journey to think about what she just done. that's the summary of the story. So it starts with them giving her money for a deal because she was going to work for the money, but very little work. Just review a good, goods and services, log in and put a thumbs up or something. You do so much of that, and you get paid X amount. She did it, got paid. Did it again, got paid. Got sucked in, trust established. You could get more if you add some money. She adds money the first time. I mean, if I, God forbid, I can't even start thinking that way. I was going to say if I was a rogue. But if the rogue was really wise and they wanted to get the money quicker, they could have upped the stakes, and they can do that. And they do that. Up the stakes and tell you that if you add money, you get this much. They should at least honor it once, and the child will be hooked. Nothing you would tell the child will dissuade them. Even an adult will get sucked in. They didn't do it that way. They already got the young one hooked way before that. I believe they knew they had gotten her hooked, so they didn't bother with that step. But that's generally their trend. There's a hook that they use to pull you in. So this child loses the money and has to find her way home with, via the routes that I've mentioned, not paying for her tickets, getting home. On her way home, called mom. Might as well. Called mom and hoped for the best or otherwise. And thankfully, the mom was a part of not just my church family, but the family cyber clinic family. Broken when she called me. Absolutely broken. Now, I said, because I have been stung, and I've been doing this now for 6 years and counting, I didn't even allow her start her sentence because she had already given me the the one line. Oh, she's killed me. I mentioned her name, that she's gotten defrauded online. And all I said was, calm down. Calm down. Didn't want to pretend I knew how she was feeling. Calm down. I'm visualizing as I'm speaking to you, and it's knocking me for 6. Mom broken, destroyed. Got the money, but money was not what was destroying her. When as parents you consume this content, you also have other ways or avenues to get wiser about online affairs. You've done that, you've exposed the children to that, you discuss it with them, and this happens. Where do you start from? What angle? What do you do as an African parent? Sorry, I had to qualify the parent there. What do you do as a parent? Full stop. I'm not laughing at this situation. It's so annoying, so frustrating. I have to laugh to stay sane. The first thing I told her to do was call the bank. First thing. Of course, second is start changing passwords, do all that. Stop this account, stop that account. And of course, once you report it to the bank will stop whatever they can stop, if they can stop it. And then the connection with the police or action fraud, all those in that order has to happen. Money gone. And in between all this and the red flags, like I said, forgive me, I had to give you the one-on-one, man-to-man break down, and then I'll start talking. In another 5 minutes, I'll start giving you things that you can do to avoid this, what you can do to prep the child, what you can do if you have a child with an account, a bank account right now. I may share the issue I have with kids and accounts in general and all that, just to get you connected with how I'm thinking, you know. Basically, these are how modern scammers hook children, not just stealing their money, but their trust. And once they get their trust, ooh. And this is why I have issues with kids and laptops, because they're away from view. You know, they're not using a central computer that you can see what they're doing from far or near. You know, it's just a wake up call. You know, it's a wake up call for folks, especially parents, especially caregivers, those with oversight over children. This wasn't a careless adult who ignored the warnings. This was a 13-year-old child, a child who didn't know that criminals are now running scams designed to target minors. And parents, if it happened to her, a child, it can happen to your children. It's not a prayer, it's just fact. And the worst part, these scams don't just take money, they, plant shame, fear, and silence in our children. Those are the silent destroyers. Those are the things that I'm more concerned. Because money is. Got to be careful that I'm not careless, but I'm really vexed. Really vexed. One of the reasons why, because, the excitable Lawrence of, if you approached me with this story maybe 2 years ago or 3 years ago, I will want the child to come and tell her story. I want her to come on. Maybe I'll hide her face, but at least tell the story with the belief that there will be major impact. But I see her hurt, even though she's keeping a straight face. Just visualize her right now. The shame, the fear, silence. What if she didn't get to go back home, understanding how much trouble she was in? And whilst in that vulnerable state, someone, she was exposed to the wrong people or wrong person. So accepting that the wrong has been done is a crucial first step. I mentioned African parents, but parents in general, our first reaction is one of anger. And you don't operate well angry. You're not condoning it, but you have to be the parent. You have to be the sensible one. So what does this mean? I promised I'll transition from close to about this time to giving you tips, because that's what we are, family cyber tips. What does this all mean? I mentioned that scammers are lowering their target age because, rightly or wrongly, adults are more difficult to scam. Kids are easier target. If your child has a phone, they are already on the rogue's radar. And which child that is 13 doesn't have a phone? And not just any phone, a smartphone with internet. The new scam strategy is trust building. If you take anything from this engagement, it is trust building. The rogue is building trust with kids. And one of what this exposes is, if your child is trusting a stranger, then there's a problem at home. So either we are not teaching them what I am laboring to get you to understand, or there's just something missing. Because if the rogue is using a trust building strategy, by sending money first, scammers disarm suspicion. And so that's the hook, like you've gathered as I was narrating. Social media to SMS to Telegram. Telegram, like I've mentioned, is one of the favorite tools that the rogue would use to communicate with your young ones. So check your young one's phone to see if they have Telegram. And some children who have Telegram, for me, it suggests that they are really savvy. So they may have Telegram and put it in a vault and, name that vault Notepad. And you look at their phone and you can't see Telegram. Oh, they don't have Telegram. But maybe they've renamed it because they've put it in a vault. This language I'm speaking, many who consume the content on this platform understand vaults. You see a child with a phone and they'll tell you, I don't have Telegram. But just there, on that same phone, if you are savvy, you know they have a vault. It has a very awkward name. That vault, in that vault, it's like a folder. Telegram is inside. So you don't know they have it. And this pattern that I've mentioned is very common with the rogue. Social media, SMS, Telegram. Once they pull your child onto less regulated apps, the danger escalates. Children don't know it's a crime. To them, it feels like an opportunity too good to be true. And that's why they don't speak up until it's too late. Parents, don't think that I'm exonerating you. No way. Children are going to be children. 13-year-old knows very little compared to you, the parent. And I'll come to you later. Here's how you protect your child this very moment. Start the conversation tonight. Well, it's kind of late. The reason why we're having this live at 8 o'clock, the algorithms are telling me that these are the times you consume my content. Sunday evening at 8. I'm testing it. Let me see how many people have joined so far. Yeah, lots. And the algorithms are telling me that this is when mom, mainly mom and dad, are settled enough following the hectic week and the little weekend. This is the best time to catch you. And so here I am. So blame the algorithms. But start the conversation the moment they wake up tomorrow morning and you are perhaps having breakfast or they're having breakfast. Just tell them we're going to have a discussion later on when you come back. Ask your child directly. Has anyone online ever offered you money or rewards? Key question. Make sure you create a safe space. So do it when they come back. If they say yes, don't react with anger. Never gets you far. May give you some relief, but really, it's just anger. Let them talk. The amount of words that I got from this young girl. Again, don't forget, young ones are very trusting. The moment they know that you mean well, that's what the calmness does. You're ready to listen, they will talk. Don't judge them, just listen. So start the conversation ASAP. Check their devices for what I mentioned. For apps like Telegram, WhatsApp, Signal. Because even WhatsApp that we all use, in many ways, is end-to-end encryption. It has that encryption end-to-end. So it offers some protection. So some rogues will use it. But just check whether these apps are on their devices. Look for contacts that are not saved in the phone book or chats that start with money offers. Get involved. Speak to your children, engage your children. If there was any time you needed to be extra, it's now. If you've not already started, check banking payment apps. Kids at 13-year-old have online banking apps. Blows my mind. Especially kids who don't know or have not had any lessons about money management. You've not even started it, but they have a bank account that they use that's accessible. I'm for independence, and please don't read this wrong. I am fully for independence. But like every other process, you've got to handhold children until you know, you the parent that spend the most time with them, you know that they're ready. Look for unusual deposits in their bank app, even small ones. I was so perturbed because I don't, oh, bless you, Dre Plez or Plazy. He's watching it with his 12-year-old. God bless you. And the 12-year-old, if you allow me, we're rooting for you. We want the best for you, really. I tell you this from the bottom of my heart. We're not judging you. And when that is OTT, over the top, like I'm advising him or her to be, please bear with them. They mean well, they love you, and the rogue is being unfair. And so the two of you, the three of you, mom, dad, and you together are better than just you. So dad, bless you. Mom, bless you. Just keep at it. But the bottom line is we've all got to be on the same page. So you got to teach the young ones, like the 12-year-old in attendance, about red flags. The 13-year-old saw enough red flags, but with her trust, the trust that they had gained, and her excitement about the too good to be true offer, she ignored all red flags. And I can tell you for free that this young girl is one of my students. By students, I mean she consumes the content. And I've mentioned it from the mountaintops. If it's too good to be true, it is. Anyone who sends you money first is not a friend. They are predators. Moving from one platform to another quickly is a warning sign. Those are red flags. They move you from SMS to Telegram, something is dodgy. If they tell you that and again, this is another, Andre is Avi's friend. Oh, bless. Well, now you're special. I just found out that this young person, the 12-year-old, is my nephew's friend. God bless you. Yeah. I love you young ones so much that yeah, we'll fight this together, okay? So parents and caregivers, please teach the kids about red flags. If it looks too good to be true, it is. Anyone who sends you money first is not a friend. They are a predator. When they ask you to move from SMS, the normal SMS, to another platform quickly, like Telegram or Signal, then they're worried about who is seeing it, because these other platforms afford more secrecy and privacy. And whilst I'm at it talking about privacy, most of their payments are not done with normal banking accounts. The young girl was using Halifax to make her payments, online payments. Again, another issue I have with banks who are not able to alert a child that you're sending money to an account that is unknown. Because from her testimony, she told me that when she tried to send the money to the account details that the rogue gave her, the bank flagged that this was suspect and telling the child, are you sure you want to do this? Are you sure the person on the other end is legitimate? Are you being forced? Are you being pressured to do this? And the child, who is already hooked and trusting, said, oh, and the rogue was telling them, or rather telling her via SMS, if they ask you why you're making this payment, tell them it's for a product. And they knew that by saying that, that will, reduce the sensitivity. That's when they approved the payment that the child was making. The rogue is now babying you, telling you exactly what to do. If you ask this question, say this. If you ask this question, say this. This is when you're paying money into the account. And they will tell you to do it quickly. So they're rushing you. You're burdened by the, immediacy or the urgency. And you also have the other issue you're already firmly connected with, a too good to be true offer. Those are red flags. So you are ignoring the red flags. The bank is confused. And in many ways, you can't, well, again, I don't want to exonerate the banks, because I think much more can be done to protect our children. Really, really do. But the thing is, when you open a bank account, like I learned during the research, when you open a bank account for a minor, and the good thing is that the parent and the child have to open the account together. They won't just allow a child to go in and open an account. So a parent is involved at some point. But the parent opening the account is responsible for making sure that the account is being used properly. And some of the advice I'll give you shortly will be things that you can do to make sure that you're well aligned. But some parents just open the account and tick that box. They've opened the account for the child. So whatever monetary transactions need to happen in their new life as teenagers, the door is open, let's go. Forgetting that they need to micromanage that account for a little while, train the child to be accountable, train the child to be responsible. And then when you see these things happen, then gradually you can loosen the grip so that the child will appreciate that you are rewarding them for the maturity they're showing. And then at some point you pull off entirely. And God willing, they're now closer to 18 when you had to pull out anyway. Okay? But I believe the banks can do more, and that's a different matter totally. Another thing that you can do is strengthen security. Like I mentioned, this is some of the advice that you should enable a child to open the account, which you have to do as a parent. So enable child banking restrictions that are associated with most of those accounts. Halifax provide these restrictions, but they were not enabled. Most banks offer teen accounts with limits, thresholds. For example, if you spend more than £30 at a go, what are you doing that I'm not aware of? I will be alerted if I've set up alerts on the account. Hello, dear. £30? What for? Accountability, responsibility. Oh, mom, it's for I didn't want to tell you, but well, I have to tell you, I was buying a birthday present for you. Oh, oops. Thank you for letting me know, though. I love you, dear. Bye. You move on. But you're involved. Use parental controls. This is now like a broken record. They offer parental controls on your banking app. So you that are a part of the child's account can enable those controls to monitor unusual app activity. And then on the device itself, that they have with parental controls, you can tell if they're installing Telegram, they're installing Revolut, and that's a key banking app that these rogues use. Revolut. Wish I had a pen to write on the screen. Revolut. Revolut. I'm sure they call it Revolut or something, but it's Revolut. Lut at the end. Those banking apps, that's how people can create Bitcoin activities, because this was not really as high level a scam as the one that I got engaged in, early in the year, where they only do their payments using Bitcoin. Of course, I knew very little about Bitcoin. Not saying that's the reason why I got hooked, but my lack of the knowledge made it difficult to observe the red flags. But Revolut, once they tell you you make payments via Revolut, then just know that they don't want traceability. They don't want to leave an audit trail. Those are red flags. But you've got to strengthen the security on your young one's device. Block unknown numbers and set up SMS filters. I have videos on the platform that tell you how to, keep these nasty unregulated, unknown callers. You filter them so that the child is not exposed to that filth. Okay? Another one that I'll throw in, keep communications with your young one open. Remind your child, if something feels weird, you can always tell me. Keep that door open. Keep that communication with your child open. You will never get in trouble for being honest. It's very clear to me that with the time left, I will not be able to. Yes, Revolut, Monzo. Sorry, I get distracted by the text messages coming on. Monzo is another one. Monzo not, well, yeah, if Monzo does it, it does it. I haven't seen the card, but it's the same. To set it up, the bank account is similar to what you would do with Revolut. So perhaps that's the case. Monzo is another account that you should look for on your young one's phone. If they have it, young one, why do you have these accounts on your system? Find out. Don't be disconnected. So I'm saying keep communication between your child open. Okay, something feels weird, you can always come to me. And assure them that they will never get in trouble for being honest. The rogue doesn't want this child or your children to know this. They don't want you to do this. But reassure your young ones that if something is off, something that they feel funny about, they should not keep it to themselves. They should come and tell you. They will not get into trouble. I know of parents who will say, "What were you looking for?" and blame the child for being honest and vulnerable. Tell them you'll never get in trouble for being honest. And that the shame of falling for it is often more damaging than the scam itself. Like I mentioned, the young one gets stung, confidence out of the, they're knocked for six. And so this is the time that we stand and make sure that we are reassuring. I had to tell this young girl that it was not her fault. Even though it would be nice to tell her it's your fault for falling, but no. You're not making things easy. So we've got to make sure that they know that we're always with them. It's very important. These questions, when you ask them, or when you're speaking to them, the whole thing is an emotionally charged environment anyway. So you do well by relaxing. Okay? All right. So let's see what I can do. I wasn't quite sure whether 1 hour was enough, but it's what it is, okay? The young one that I mentioned had an account from Halifax, and if the parent is not involved in managing the account, what chance does the child have? Youth accounts at traditional banks, they're semi-independent. Halifax, like Lloyds, NatWest, and others, they allow children aged 11 to 15 to open their own youth current account. Said I was going to moan before we left this place. And what this means in reality is the account is legal and is legally in the child's name and not the parent. The child gets a debit card, gets a PIN, and an online banking app. Parents can help set it up, but once open, Halifax don't automatically link parental monitoring or approval to the child's transactions. In other words, Halifax treats it as the child's personal account, but with some limits, but not enough, of course, to address the issue. And because the account has spending power, enough said. There's one they call Express Cash or Youth Current Account. It allows online payments, contactless purchases. I mean, I'm a semi-adult. Yeah, deep. Crazy. They allow it. Significant amounts that add up at the end of the day. Daily spending limits are generally set by the bank, not the parent. It just doesn't sound right in my head. It means that a child could move hundreds of pounds like this little girl did before anyone notices, especially if alerts are not configured. So you've got to configure those alerts, mom, dad, caregiver, on the bank account that your young one owns. Okay? Please. There are no automatic parental notifications. They don't exist. Halifax do not send parents transaction alerts or summaries. They don't. Once the child logs into her own mobile app, they control what they see and do. Parents only get notified if the child shares access voluntarily or the parent has online access as a joint signatory, which is rare for youth accounts. So the banking system is compliant, but the safety net depends entirely on your involvement as a parent. And we know that the scammer evidently manipulated this young girl emotionally, not technically. Scammers will rarely hack these accounts. Instead, they trick the child into authorizing the payment. Say things like, we need your help moving money for a giveaway, or in her case, this whatever review system or review thing you were doing. Once a child taps send or engages, the transaction she's made to the bank appears genuine. So there's nothing the bank will be informed, or nothing. And banks are prioritizing, independence at age 13 and above. UK regulations encourage financial education and independence for minors. Banks see 13 to 17-year-olds as young customers learning money skills. Money skills, hello? And that to them is positive, but it also creates a safety gap if parents, please listen, if parents assume oversight still exists. The bank does not, I repeat, they don't have oversight or do the things that you as a parent will do. Okay? Summarizing why it happens, we've heard it already. Okay? What can you do as a parent? So you can request in-branch access or statements for your child's accounts tomorrow, Monday morning. Enable notifications if you're using a banking app that allows or offers it. SMS alerts. As money leaves the account, you're getting alerted. There's so much that you can do. Okay? Enable notifications. That's very important. Sit with your child and review every transaction. Teach them what looks suspicious. Please ask the bank to cap spending limits or block transfers if possible. And you must make sure that if you've been stung, and if anyone on here has been stung, report the scam immediately. Halifax fraud team can sometimes recover funds if acted on quickly. And I said I had some good news. The child got some refund, and this is why you have to report it swiftly. They gave her 3/4 of what she lost. So my vex is not as bad as it was when I told you I was going to sit down with you and talk. You know, it's evident we can't take questions, but of course, this is going to be uploaded, as you know. Please review the content. If there's anything that I have not covered, feel free to, alert me so that I can give some more, I can add some more information and possibly do another video, But this has ended somewhat okay because you get 3/4 of an amount of money lost close to 1,000. That's some happy days in there somewhere, okay? Very important. A 13-year-old may have a bank card, but no one should assume she has a fraud filter. That's our job as parents, to build the digital wisdom that banks can't, okay? Very important. Very important. A child's bank card doesn't come with parental wisdom. We are the ones who have to give them that wisdom before a scammer gives them regret. Okay? We only have 3 minutes left. I promised I was not going to keep you beyond an hour. But I've listed some things on the right side. If you look at the right pane, start talking with your young ones. If you have not started that, please do it. Check their devices for all the things I mentioned. Spot traps, secure their accounts. These things are so important, okay? So important. You must do those things, talking, you can't talk too much. Start the conversation with your kids tomorrow morning. Very important, okay? You see, check devices there. Check their devices and their accounts. So important you do it tomorrow, okay? A third, spot traps. And most importantly, you must share this video with another parent. If they're not already here, and I'm so grateful for those who attended live, this for me it really does convince me that you are serious about your young ones' engagement online. I've enjoyed getting this to you. This could have been a live last week, but somehow we had to follow the algorithm and make sure that we got it to you while you were most relaxed. And I pray that you have, consumed this content with some understanding. Nothing questions from you later on cannot solve. Okay. Thank you also. I don't know how I'm pronouncing this, but it's just Dre Play Z. Okay. It says, thank you for sharing all this information. You've learned a lot. God bless you. And there's more to come. So just connect like I know you have with the platform, and others that are just hearing me. Make sure that you subscribe to Family Cyber Clinic YouTube channel. We have this weekly podcast that we do informing you. More importantly, it helps us build stronger and safer digital homes, one family at a time. I have been your host, Lawrence Edem, we're not going to have a live until tomorrow. There's a video coming tomorrow at 6 p.m. Make sure you tune in and consume that content. Another big one. And I'll find time to give the other scam. We're still together. So you've not lost out. Being your host, Lawrence Edem. Until then, God bless and have a good night.